Hello, welcome to Stupid for Fantasy Football. I am Adam, and we're welcoming back Marty.
Hey! Oh, it's great to be back. I missed you guys.
I have a theory on this. He's having a hard time showing his face as a Cowboys fan, and that's understandable. It's been a rough year.
It's been awful, but it's been a great fantasy year, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you why.
Jabber is not here right now, but he will be very soon. This is Jabber for the moment. But trust
I would like to complain about several things.
I'm just trying to track down Austin Collie and Sean Green.
And of course, Mr. JJ Mays at the end of the table.
Currently having a fantasy fire sale.
Trying to trade his entire team as we speak. As you know, you can follow us on Twitter at stupid4football. And if you did that last week, you knew about McFadden.
Nice job, Adam.
Thank you.
Nice
yes,
job.
very
Not
nice
to toot
job.
your own horn, but toot toot.
I am tooting it right now.
Yes. He's been on DMC all year.
Yeah, I have been. I really have.
Whereas Marty and I still refuse to have him for a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And to be fair, the first week I was calling him out saying this guy is not performing as expected, and right away he went boom and
he listened to you. I think we're going to talk about him.
Yeah, I think
it's coming up. We're previewing it right now.
By the way, McFadden, you're welcome, because it was my call out that got you motivated, I'm sure of it. So we're going to get right into our first segment where we bitch and complain about all the things that went wrong with our teams this week. It's time for Who Screwed Me. Marty, you haven't seen that graphic yet.
It's a Halloween, nice Halloween.
Of course, I've been watching the show.
Oh, but
I've been watching. I haven't seen it in the studio. Yes. Yeah. I've been listening to all your opinions, taking Adam and JJ's advice. Mark, not so much.
Oh, he's not even here to defend himself. It's just not right.
Start off on fire.
It's funny because it's true.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you who screwed me. Nobody. I went 3-0. My teams blew up. McFadden's on 2 of them. So it was a very nice week for me fantasy-wise, and I am currently in first place in all 3 of my leagues.
Well played, sir.
I'm
well played.
So, how about you, Marty? Who screwed you?
You know, I won both of my games this week also, but there was almost a minor screw. And let's focus in on this. Kenny Britt, he had little problems. He had a fight Tuesday night, so we didn't know if he was going to start. We thought he was going to be disciplined, so it was a gut call to play him or not. He's on fire, ladies and gentlemen. You got to play Kenny Britt right now. He is a stud. Same thing happened with Arian Foster. He missed a quarter, had a great game. Happened to, who was it? Braylon Edwards earlier in the season. Missed a quarter, had a great game.
If you get sat down for the first quarter, you come in pissed off and you rally up for the next 3.
Seems to motivate the guys.
Kenny Britt was in FU mode, and I liked it. He was on fire, leading receiver of the weekend. So, Kenny Britt, you almost screwed me, but you didn't. Thank you, Kenny Britt.
By the way, side note to that Kenny Britt thing, one of my leagues I had Manning, who was on a bye, and Vic, who wasn't playing, and the only guy I had to pick up was Kerry Collins. And I did it with a wince, and man, did that work out way better than I could have possibly imagined.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think Kerry is a better quarterback than Vince for Kenny Britt? I don't know. Like, Britt had his best game with Kerry Collins.
Yeah. Kerry Collins is much better at getting the ball downfield. He doesn't have the ability to run like Young does. He doesn't create like that. But I think for that team with Chris Johnson, you just need a guy who can get the deep ball out there so you can spread the field, not let the safeties play
and Kerry
out.
Collins has never been afraid to just launch the ball up.
I love Kerry. He's the gray beard.
It's really hurt him in the past, too. But, like, he'll just throw that way up there.
Yeah, so Vince, take Kerry's advice and find Britt this weekend.
Now, I would like to take Mark's time and my own to talk about who screwed me. Let's start with who didn't screw me. Matt Ryan, way to go, buddy. You finally broke through almost 300 yards, a yard shy. You know, the 2-point conversion, 3 touchdowns. Very happy, very proud of you. Now let's talk about the rest of my team that for the second week in a row, I had no position player score a touchdown. If you have no position player scoring touchdowns, you will not win in fantasy. I can guarantee you that. I know, because it's happening for 2 weeks in a row. My abusive pattern with Miles Austin continues.
He only does it because he loves you, JJ.
No, he does not. I'm realizing he does not love me or you if you own him in fantasy. And I feel it's going to get worse for Miles Austin because I don't think he's going to play well with Kitna. Brandon Lloyd, for a moment, I was excited. Wow, Oakland jumped up 21-0. There's definitely going to be a great chance they're going to have to throw the ball. No. 2 touchdowns for Keyshawn Moreno. No pass attack whatsoever. Brandon Williams doesn't even catch a reception until the fourth quarter.
You just pulled it at him. I love it. It's no Sean Marino, not Keyshawn.
I'm so upset. I don't even
Doesn't
know.
play anymore.
JJ, it's okay.
Shout out to No Sean Moreno.
No shot. But then
Keyshawn's commentating.
he is. Shango, that was a great call by the refs to overturn what was clearly a touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk about the refs. Can we?
There was a lot of bad repping, but let me finish.
Let me finish.
JJ's not done bitching yet.
Let me finish. Also, in that fantastic Denver game, I had their kicker. 2 extra points, not getting it done. Ryan Terrain, great running game, 1 fumble, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
And how about that vaunted Vikings defense? Yes. No. Nothing. 28 points, 2 interceptions is.
We're going to talk about that defense later in the
We
news.
are gonna
We
talk-
got some stuff to say about them.
That's why I'm here this week, JJ. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you guys and to help JJ.
I need a doctor. My team is just.
I'm bringing some fire this week. I feel we're all going to have a great
Speaking
week.
of bad reffing, by the way, that's why the Dolphins helmet is out. It's out because the what did I miss?
There's a ghost under the table.
Yeah, do the feet thing.
Look at this.
Yeah. Hey, it's our Halloween
Oh,
episode.
it's
the
in
floating
3D,
feet.
ladies and gentlemen. Stupid for fantasy 3D.
So we brought the Dolphins helmet out because they won that game, and the refs gave it to Pittsburgh with a horrible call. They recovered a fumble in the end zone. Ridiculous. I'm also saying it because I tweeted that they were going to beat them, and I don't care. I was right on that call. That is going to be the end of Who Screwed Me. We'll have to get Jabber to catch us up when he gets here on his team.
I can say that most likely his team did as poorly as mine.
Yeah, you guys seem to be kind of joined at the
We're
hip in your
not having a
fantasy.
good year over here
Yeah.
on this side of the table.
Yeah, it's not- this is the better side of the table.
actually Shaping up to be, there's nothing like starting a show about fantasy football and then having your worst ever fantasy season.
But see, you're entertaining us, and that's valuable.
About hearing someone's bad fantasy
I've gone from
team.
expert to comic relief.
You're the Nick Mackay of our show.
No!
You're the cousin
Schadenfreude.
Sal of our show.
It's called.
It's Schadenfreude. We enjoy watching you suffer.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man.
Yes, you're about as good as Keyshawn Moreno.
All right, now we're going to move on to a little more fun in the show, for us at least, because it's when we get to tell you how we were right. It's time for us to tell you we told you so. Ooh, Halloween! Nice, Corey! Very nice, Corey. Very
Halloween
nice.
graphic.
Little special
Very
Halloween
scary.
graphic. All right, we're going to start off with somebody we kind of already went over. If you followed us on Twitter, you would have known to start McFadden. I said McFadden will be the man. He will not be splitting carries. Bush would only be a third down back. I was right. Not even I thought he would have the game he had, but I expected him to perform exactly how he had been before. McFadden's a top 5 running back. If you look at averages, if you look at game averages when he hasn't sat out, he is the number 1 running back in the league. He scores more when he plays than anybody else on average. He's a fantastic back. You're welcome if you listen. Remember, stupid, the number 4 football. Twitter, follow us. Next guy I'm going to talk about is a guy that didn't do great for you last week, only because he didn't get enough opportunity. LeGarrette Blount had 72 carries on 72 yards on 11 carries.
72 carries
On 11 yards, that would have been terrible. Yeah,
That should be dead.
he was just running into a brick wall over and over again. But that's almost 7 yards a carry. That is much better than the other running backs on that team. Williams is hurting constantly. Ernest Graham, I think, will only ever have had that one good year.
Yeah.
LeGarrette Blount, I believe, if not this week, soon he will be the feature back there. He's a guy to keep. He's definitely a stash now and an appropriate bye-week fill-in, depending on who he's playing. And the last guy, and this is unfair, but I'm going to give it to JJ because actually Mark called this guy, but since he's not here yet, JJ.
Mark did. Mark called Steven Johnson.
Yeah, wide receiver of the Bills.
He actually picked a Bills player. There we go. I was like, I'm not on camera. I'm just talking off
The Halloween edition. You're a
Mark
ghost.
called, but Mark did call
Mark is a
Steven
ghost
Johnson
this week.
and said, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick seems to be targeting him. This is a guy to pick up. I did not follow his advice, and I should have. But I would also like to mention, not specifically, but I did last week talk about quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks coming in, throwing to non-starting wide receivers. And
Yeah.
not that we would have predicted Tony Romo going down, and if anybody says they did and told you to pick up John Kitna,
Kitna and it
No,
paid
you
off.
did not start
That boy.
Stat boy, you did not start Kitna. But this is an example of a backup quarterback coming in. Dez Bryant is not the 1 or 2 receiver. They've been running 2 wide receiver sets. So, he's been throwing a lot with Kitna. He's been getting the ball in practice.
he
from the
practices
second
with.
team.
Yep.
So he comes in and he's comfortable. And man, Dez Bryant, talk about an FU game.
Yeah.
He came
Yes.
in and
He
I
was
don't know
in
what happened.
FU
He
mode.
got
Yes.
he was like, I will take this game over myself.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a little shade of where, unfortunately, as a Miles Austin owner, I think that's going to be the direction they're going.
Miles Austin, by the way, has only put up great numbers with Romo.
Yeah.
So we have no idea how he's going to be with Kitna. He might kind of disappear a little bit. Des Bryant might move up because, like you said, he's much more comfortable with him. Hey, I want to welcome a new guest.
Hey,
Come
look
on
at
in.
this guy.
Hey,
What's up, fellas?
Hey,
Marty's
What's going
guy.
on? What's going on?
up, guys?
We're gonna-
What is happening?
We're gonna.
Let me tell you something about Miles Austin, okay? Did we do my sound check? Testing. Good. Miles Austin's had 3 good games and 3 terrible games
Yep.
this year,
Boomer
by
bust,
the way.
man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
terrible
from now on,
games.
he's not going to have a lot more great games because he doesn't have his boy Romo throwing him the ball.
I
Talk
agree.
about how many good games the Cowboys had this season.
Oh,
One.
1.5?
One.
1.5.
Let me go to my I told you so. Remember last time on the show? Well, a long time ago. I told you about Jordan Shipley. After his concussion, he finally had a great game. There you go. Pick him up if you want a flyer, if you need that extra receiver.
I'd say pick him up and stash him, but I wouldn't start him this week because the Dolphins will definitely be able to handle Shipley. Dolphins, by the way, have been a much better defense as of late.
Sure.
Yeah, they've been playing well,
Sure. And
getting
they've
lot
won a couple
sacks.
of big road games.
Yeah, and they
is
won
just
against
good for you as a
Pittsburgh
fan.
too. They won against Pittsburgh.
They did.
Except the refs apparently had bet on the Steelers.
Right,
so,
right. They had
I
some
guess
other
they had to
ideas
call it
there.
the other way.
Wow, and look at this, man. Yeah, what a team.
Do you still think they're going to the
You know
playoffs?
what? I'll just hide behind the Dolphins uniform. Ew, that means I'm a Dolphin fan for the day. I'll just go like this. What is happening here? This is so
This is in
shiny.
protest to how they screwed my boys.
Oh, they
Yes,
did.
They did.
Yeah, you can
Who
hand me that.
screwed
It's
me?
blocking you.
Oh, yeah,
No, hand
okay,
me my
so I
helmet.
guess-
Give me my
No,
helmet.
I think
All
it
right.
works better that
All
way.
right.
I'm going to hold my
Oh.
helmet now.
So I guess I can't say who screwed me this week, huh?
The Dolphins.
Whatever, they all did again.
Yeah.
We figured that. We
No, I
kinda
won,
summed it
actually.
up.
We just
summed it
implied
up,
that
yes.
you would do what I did and bitch about your entire team.
Here's the thing: I can bitch about my team, but I did win this week because it's just a not as good team.
Oh, yeah, you had one of
You
those
know?
weeks where you happened to pull the other guy that was having a bad week. You were playing JJ.
Yeah.
If you're playing me, it would have been a race to the bottom.
Oh, we're back on a regular
yeah,
camera here. We got a better angle now. This
Yeah,
is fantastic.
this-
Now I can actually look at you and not
I
feel
know,
like
and
a
not
total
feel
idiot.
awkward.
This is wonderful.
All right, enough about us. Let's help the people
Let's
out
help
there.
the
Yes.
people.
When we
Yes.
help the people out there. It's not
Let's
about
help the
us.
people. No,
By
it's
the way,
not.
community. That's
It's
why I'm
not.
back.
Even
Mark,
though
we
you're
just
back.
we just covered Steven Johnson, which was one of your picks.
Nice
We did
pick.
give you
Sure.
credit
Nice
for
pick.
it.
Sure.
I'm gonna say real
You
quick.
told us so.
I did tell you so.
We talk a lot on this
What say
on this
you?
show about young wide receivers on bad teams. They're going to get opportunity because the coach is going to be in a position where he's going to lose the game anyway.
Yeah.
So they're going to go ahead and chuck it up in the fourth quarter, learn what their wide receivers can do. We've seen it happen with Mike Williams in Tampa Bay, although they've actually been a better team as of late. We're seeing it happen in Buffalo. It's certainly happened for the tight ends in Detroit. It's happening all over the place for St. Louis, although they're turning out to be a pretty decent team, probably because
Right.
they're airing it out like that. So we like young guys like this on teams that we know are going to be throwing for the entire second half almost every week, like the Bills.
Sure. Sure.
Does
At the
anybody-
same time, when these guys establish themselves, they're getting the ball thrown to them pretty much all game too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like they transition from exactly what you said, I think, and then they establish themselves. They
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
getting the ball pretty.
They
regularly.
become the
So
guy.
You can count on some of
Yeah.
those guys. You can count on them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's get on to our next segment here. We've covered what we got right. We've covered what we got wrong. JJ did most of the got wrong.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep beating you because it's just fun. You're down and it's easy. You don't really have
You know,
to.
and I
throw that
deserve
hard.
it. I
It's
deserve
true.
it.
It's true. We're going to move on to fantasy news. All right. So we're going to start off with what was an unbelievably ridiculous game. We've covered some of the players. Buffalo, Baltimore. I'm going to say this. If there's any commentator out there saying that they had called that, they're full of shit. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, I was
Chock full.
Nobody saw that coming. shocking game to me.
It actually makes the Oakland-Denver scene less shocking.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
that's not the shock of the week. The shock of the week is Buffalo and Baltimore.
And they didn't end up winning, but the fact that they put up that many points on what's supposed to be arguably the best defense in fantasy football, I don't think they are, but people will put them in that category. We thought that was going to be a shutdown game. It was going to be like a 17-3 game maybe, and it was going to be all D, and the Bills were just going to get torn up. Fitzpatrick comes out.
The last 2 weeks he's been
he's been
putting up
incredible.
Patrick has been really,
And
really
Johnson.
good. And it's, you know what, you rip Buffalo all you want. I'm getting a little sappy here. I'm really, really happy for Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
I think they found a kid who can play, and, we'll see how it goes going forward. But, man, he did it against the Ravens, dude.
By the way, side note on that game, an interesting thing to look at, JJ and I were talking about this earlier. If you are a CJ Spiller owner, everybody on the Bills had a great game except for CJ Spiller. And it's kind of telling that he's, even in games like that, he's not getting the ball, and when he does, he's not doing a lot with it. I think CJ Spiller, for the time being, has to be a bust. I mean, he's not anywhere near what we were expecting out of him.
Look, you put him against some of the guys we've been talking about since early in the season, where we thought like Brandon Jackson, for example, was done. And look, I know it's partially wishful thinking because I've got him on my team and my running backs are terrible. But right now, I'm pretty confident that the Packers have found a way to best utilize Brandon Jackson. I think a few teams are finding ways, JJ, to best use those players.
Yeah,
They're like, we know they've got talent. How do we?
They're not. Yeah, they're not like they've realized he's not a workhorse. They're not going to give him 20 carries a game, but they're running good plays for him. They're utilizing him out of the backfield. And the big thing I noticed against the Vikings was Brandon Jackson is picking up the block.
Mm-hmm. He's learning.
Early on in the season, I think the big reason why they were iffy about him was that he was not picking up the block, and Aaron Rodgers was getting hammered.
Right.
And I definitely, not that the Vikings seem to have much pass rush anymore, but he's picking up the block. When they assign him to stay in and pick up the block, he's doing it, and I think he's working out and he's becoming very effective in that offense.
Yeah,
and Spiller's not that guy. I mean, going back to what you were saying,
not yet.
He's not that guy.
Yeah, and the only exception to that would be I do have one league where we get return yards. Spiller is there a good RB3 because he's going to get you consistent points for return yards. But I think if you're in a keeper league, I might not let him go. He's definitely got a lot of talent. The kid was incredible in college. I think he is on a team with a struggling offensive line, even though they played good this week. Most of how they did was.
But I mean,
was
they've obviously decided Fred Jackson is the man who's going to carry the ball.
Yeah,
and it's not
he's
CJ Spiller.
He's their workhorse.
And it's
Yeah.
it's going to go to Jackson. That's it.
On the other hand, I still can't trust either of those guys, either of the Jacksons, as far as I can throw them.
No.
I put them in my as far as I can throw them category.
Yeah.
Can't trust him, but if you don't have another option out there, he'll get you 10, 12 points.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm gonna let Marty take over this next story because as a fan of my own team who has had its struggles, I feel you, brother.
Yes, this is why I play fantasy, ladies and gentlemen.
And myself.
Team is terrible. At least you have reason to watch other teams play. The Cowboys, they lost Tony Romo this week. They still stuck at 1 win.
Oh,
And
sounds
Kitna's
familiar.
come back to try and save this season. We got the combination of Kitna and Roy Williams, so I'm counting on the 2007 Lions to help save the season.
Right.
But as JJ said, they were in. Des Bryant was in FU mode. I still think the Cowboys play Jacksonville this week. It's my Super Bowl. I think they could salvage a couple wins this season. Fellas, what do you think about my Cowboys
I
and
think
the
when
fantasy
you-
prospects?
When you say the Cowboys versus Jacksonville is your Super Bowl,
I'm right.
you know your season is
That's
doomed.
problematic.
I think, Miles Austin has never caught the ball from anybody but Tony Romo. John Kitna, serviceable guy. I don't know what happens with the Cowboys.
Still has an arm, though. I mean, he really should.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
always had good arm strength.
He's one of the better backup quarterbacks
Yeah,
in the league. The
no
guy
doubt.
knows the league. He actually started a couple years and put up decent numbers. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback. However,
Right.
that team's got deeper issues. I mean,
He's
before Romo was
38
hurt.
and he's been on the
Yeah.
bench for a while, but he's one of these Kurt Warner types. I had an event with John Kitna a couple years ago, and he wrote a Bible passage on everything he autographed. So he believes in Christ, and that might help him.
Well, thank God for that.
Yes.
Wah, wah. Here's the thing. I actually think this gives Felix Jones a nice bump because, and I'm not just going to say the old cliche sort of they're going to dump it off to him out of the backfield,
But-
but he's just running harder and stronger,
Right.
and they're relying on him
It's his
more.
opportunity. Felix Jones has been given opportunities to take that job and has not done it.
He's
I think
always
he's in the middle of
disappointed.
doing it
Yeah.
right now, though. I think he is taking
I
that
think
job.
they're starting to
I think
figure
Marion
out-
Barber is.
I think they're starting to figure out Felix
Jones.
Jones is a lot like Reggie Bush. You only have him run the ball to set up passing him the ball, and it's that situation we talk about. You got Kitna coming in. They're going to go at him a lot more. He's going to end up on the ground a lot more, so he's going to be dumping it off to Witten and probably to Felix Jones. So I expect Felix Jones to be a really good flex play going forward, get a lot of balls out of the backfield. One other thing I'd say about Dallas is I totally agree with Bryant is going to be the man there. I really
Yes.
think he's going
Yeah,
to pass
I think
Austin.
he's. I
Because
think he's going
Kitna
to be.
is locked into him, and they've got it down. Bryant's got all kinds
Witten
of talent
too. I
yeah,
think
Witten's
come
going
back
to do
from
well
Witten.
too.
And if you don't see much out of Kitna, I see Stephen McGee coming deep from the bench
happen.
out of Texas A&M.
By the way, a little shout out to one of the guys in my league, John. Hi, John. John Marcus looks exactly like John Kitna. It's hysterical. So every
So they
time
both
he's
look like the lead
relevant-
singer for the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes, well, except a little stouter.
I want to pose a question from the viewer's perspective right now. As we sort of talk about, we think this guy might be, this guy might. Are there enough seeds of doubt, right? Regardless of what we're saying up here, are there seeds of doubt for those who own these players to be consistently starting them week after week?
I'd say Miles Austin's a real question mark right now.
It's a matchup,
I would
though.
hesitate to start him. depending
Start
on who else I
against
had.
Jacksonville,
Yeah.
and I would start the Cowboys defense against Jacksonville. They're going to be probably carrying the team. So start
But
that
wait,
defense.
but Mike Thomas had a great he had a fumble last week, guys. Trying to keep Marty in the hearts and minds of our fans and our viewers out there.
I know.
And it totally backfired. What are you
Let's
gonna do?
let's move on from
right.
from depressing Marty.
Yeah, the Cowboys are low. Niners are in London. Moving on.
Let's go to this
Poor
next story.
London. What did they do to get that game? I feel sorry for London. Come on.
Take that for the War of 1812.
Think about it from a
We're gonna send
49ers
out two of our
perspective. At
finest
least
for
they
you
get to
guys.
go to London this year.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all
They
they're
get a
going to get to
trip.
do.
They
you
get
know?
a trip.
Singletary will get to stay there.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
Singletary. This year's Mike Tice.
So
Can't
why don't
play
you
with
take
them,
this next
can't win
story,
with them.
JJ?
Kevin Cobb.
Yeah.
He threw his way right out of a starting job. I mean, he passed the ball, what did I say, around 48 times?
48 times.
48 times. 231
Two
yards.
fumbles.
2 fumbles, 2 picks. He looked,
Against who again?
he looked terrible.
Cardinals or
Tennessee.
something?
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Against
That's
Tennessee.
Tennessee,
he
high
was good, but-
defense.
They're good.
It's a good defense.
Mainly
right there.
against Kenny Britt, who was the one
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
show that day.
Kenny
But, I
Britt
mean,
was in
he-
FU mode.
He did not look good. He, if he had had a good game, then maybe he keeps the starting job.
Absolutely. I think there's a real question. If he had gone in and thrown for 300 yards and,
Three
and 3 or 4
touchdowns.
touchdowns, and there would have been a real question whether Vic was coming back after the bye week. Now there's no question. Vic is the man there. Because as
Yeah.
you watch that game, you could literally sit there and watch it and go, if that was Vic, they would have gotten that first down. If that was, like, you could see how Vic would have made it happen because he could roll out, he could run, all the things that Vic does that make him special. He's the man now in Philly.
Yeah.
Yes, they're going to have the bye week. He's going to come back, and he's going to take over. If
Yeah.
someone lost him during the bye week, or if you see Vic out there, that's a waiver wire gold. So a lot of injuries this week. There's a lot of people who need quarterbacks. Maybe Vic winds up on your wires. You don't know.
Yeah.
I got him on a team, and both he and Manning had a bye. So I traded Eli Manning this week for Des Bryant.
I've been hanging on to Vic on my bench, and
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he may be available. There's a lot of, normal starting players, quarterbacks on bye.
He's not available in any of my leagues.
No,
but
not
most of the
mine
leagues
either.
I'm in, all the guys
Right,
pay a
just
lot of
Pretty
attention.
much nobody. And the thing too is
Now,
I
in
wanna
Claire's league, you can
Yeah.
pick him up.
In Claire's league, you can pick him
But
up.
why pick him up? You could pick up Peyton Manning.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
It's also difficult because if you think about it, if you have 12 teams in your league, let's say it's kind of standard, and you have a flex player, that's 12 more free agents that aren't available every week.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I mean, my league, I've told you, these guys have been gone for weeks. The top guy on the flex board right now is Clinton Portis.
Oh.
I mean, because there's just it's Slim Pickens.
Yeah.
And I'm starting.
I had that happen to me last week. And
I'm
and
gonna check that in my
gold
league
with
as well.
Collins, man.
Let's
Collins
see
came
who's-
through for me shockingly. I had to start him at quarterback, and Kerry Collins got me 3 touchdowns.
Nice.
I had no choice. I had Manning on a bye and Vic on the bench.
Well, I
so.
picked up Stafford, so I'm hoping.
Hey, I don't think it's
hopefully
bad.
I looked at
Rodgers has
Stafford.
a bye in week 10,
Mike
I gotta win.
Tolbert is the #1 guy
There you
on
go,
our
see?
flex.
There you go.
Let's move on to this next
Manningham,
story.
Heap.
This next story is something
Shipley.
that everybody should be paying attention to next week, and that is pretty soon your fantasy trade deadlines are coming up. A lot of leagues are having it this week, some are next week, but in the next 3 weeks, everybody's going to have a trade deadline in a lot of the leagues. It's something to start thinking about, and it leads us into our next story. JJ, this is your story, and it's a good one for right now with these trades ending.
I love JJ stories.
Yeah, I always feel like we need
Yes.
some sappy, sad mood music
It's time
underneath.
for
like,
JJ
I do. I think
theme to
Yeah.
Tootsie,
Yes.
or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Great
Wow.
reference, Jabber.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
An important lesson to remember. Just because you valued someone in the draft doesn't mean you should continue to hold out hope by this point in the season.
CJ Spiller.
So say you drafted.
Ryan Matthews.
Everybody's got their own.
Wait, can I hear Jabber say his first name again?
Shine green.
Everyone has their own CJ Spiller. For me, my CJ Spiller is CJ Spiller. But it's time to wake up and look at some of these guys. Ryan Matthews, CJ Spiller, and a big one too. Look at some of those defenses. I'll give you 3 examples that are not playing well: the Ravens, the Colts, and the Vikings.
Vikings.
3 of the highest touted defenses preseason. They've got a history. They're great. They are not getting sacks. They are not getting interceptions.
Niners either.
They are not forcing fumbles. Well, no one expects the Niners to be good except for you. But these these are kind of things that you hold on to because you just in your head you're like, well, they're good. The Ravens are a great defense.
Yeah.
And they're not. You look at maybe they're winning games, and winning games doesn't mean that they're good in fantasy. In fantasy, you need sacks, you need interceptions, you need forced fumbles. If your defense isn't getting that, and they're holding someone to 15 points and 300 yards and getting the win, but they're not getting any turnovers, there are better options out there, and you need to let go.
Yeah, I'd also say that a big problem that people have in this situation is that they'll do something like they'll draft a player in a higher round, and for the whole year they think, but he's my 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Second the draft's done, forget about where you drafted them. It doesn't matter where you got them. It's about performance.
Yeah, value only counts in auction leagues, to
Yeah.
be quite honest, and keeper
Yeah.
leagues.
Yeah.
Value doesn't mean shit, folks,
Yeah.
if your guys are not producing.
Wow.
Because you're just going to lose.
Jabber.
Value doesn't mean put that on the bathroom wall.
Right. It's like starting a poker hand with pocket aces. You know it's the best hand, but you don't always win with pocket aces. You got to you got to dump them. You can't play them.
I had that happen to me.
Can't
one
win
year.
with them, can't play with them.
No,
I had a
pass
year.
the beer nuts.
I had a year where I had it was way back during the heyday of Larry Johnson.
Ooh, it's an
Remember
Adam
that?
story.
And
We're gonna harken back.
And
Harken
let's go back.
Let's go in the
Let's go
Wayback
back.
Machine. Let's take the time machine back.
harken
So I had
Back
him.
before he had a beard.
I had him, and I had the first pick in the draft, and I had either LaDainian Tomlinson or Sean Alexander coming off of his record-breaking year. The only reason I picked Alexander is because LT and LJ and Larry Johnson had the same bye week, and it turned out to be the worst decision I ever made because Sean Alexander was done. But I didn't keep him around. I knew he was horrible. I got rid of him. A lot of people
So
keep him because the
to
keeper league.
sum up, if you own the Vikings defense, or say CJ Spiller, or perhaps you own both, this is the week. If you were too
Comma,
dumb
JJ.
to figure this out before you woke up this week and went, my God, they are just not that good. Take a look at your team. Like I said, 3rd round draft pick means nothing at this point in time. It means you screwed up in the 3rd round maybe. But nobody had a perfect draft from 1 to whatever number of keepers you have in your league. 1 to 12 or 1
How
to
many
16.
people kicked it off with Brandon Lloyd?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
exactly.
want to add something else to that, JJ. Folks, take a look deep down inside yourself.
You got to ask yourself.
You got to ask yourself: Are you want for this world? Is that what they call it?
That's not a good.
I don't know what just happened.
Wait,
I have no
What just
idea.
happened?
And with defenses, if you have unlimited waiver wires, if you could pick up a defense and mix and match each week, look at your matchups. Anyone playing Chicago is going to get a lot of points. That's sack happy. So look at your matchups a lot of weeks with defenses.
Yeah, definitely play matchups, and we'll go over some of those in the waiver wire. A couple of guys I want to mention that belong in
Don't play Alex
this list
Smith.
is Maurice Jones-Drew. Not what we expect him to be, and even though I think every once in a while he'll be decent, he is not an RB1 anymore. He's a borderline RB2 the way they're playing. Got Ryan Matthews, we mentioned him. He's a bust at this point. I mean, yeah, he's getting carries, but he's not
He's
doing
a
anything
bust.
with them. Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
bust.
I mean, long
Bona fide
term, maybe
bust.
not. Like McFadden took him.
Yeah.
What? This is 3rd season.
Yeah.
It took him a long time. Like, is an NFL player, is he a bust? No. For your fantasy season, is he a bust?
Yes. And
Well,
then you look at a
I
guy
wouldn't
like
give up on him yet. I mean, if there's
No,
no,
don't
better
drop
option,
him.
stash him.
Don't drop
Because
or
he's still
trade him.
like, who else is on that team?
But
We
don't have in your
Tolbert.
head that
Right, still
he's
a long
a
season.
It is
number
a long
one
season.
running back. Like,
And it's-
your head has to
He's
switch
not
like
a-
he's a
Let
number
this-
two
yeah,
flex
let
guy.
this be a warning to everybody that hasn't learned the lesson. If you're in the first round and you're drafting any rookie running back, I don't care who it is, it's not a good choice. You don't know how they're going to play with their new team. There's so many things that they've got to learn. You know, once you get into the third, fourth round, you take a shot at a guy like a Javid Best. It's okay, but first round, I saw people taking Ryan Matthews in the first round of this year's draft.
Yeah, he moved
and I
up to the
thought
first round.
you
yeah.
literally have to have 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns to live up to that, and that's a lot for a rookie.
A lot
Do we
of pressure.
consider Wes Welker to be one of those guys too? Since
You know,
he
that's a
had,
good question.
Yeah.
he had this first game of the season
Was brilliant.
He killed.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done anything since. I mean,
Yeah.
he hasn't scored a touchdown since game 2.
Yeah, Wes Welker, he's on my team, and I'm actually benching him this week because I've got
Fitzgerald.
Pierre Garcon, and I've got
Fitzgerald.
Harvin, and I've got Calvin Johnson. I'm going to start those guys ahead of him. However, Welker is such an incredible guy for fantasy.
I
And
can't cut him, but
I
it's
got to
like-
think he's going to come back.
Yeah.
I am. He's on the trade block for me right now. I'll see if anybody wants to give me something for him. But
But
I
will
don't
he
think he's
become
going.
your Vikings defense?
No, because I'm not starting him, and he's definitely not a guy you drop. I mean, he's not hurt. You know, that team is in transition after losing Randy Moss. We still don't really know how that's going to
I don't want to be back here in 3 weeks.
I might be
and
crying
be
about
like-
Wes Welker. Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. But at the same time, I am trying to.
Yeah, or you could just
maybe I'll
keep
get rid of
hanging
him.
out to Miles Austin.
Also, one other guy I want to add to
abusive
that list, and
relationship.
it's totally not his fault, Larry Fitzgerald. It's the team. It's not him. That
That's
guy's an
it.
incredible talent, but that team, I mean, he'll have a game here or there, and he'll probably finish top 20, but he's not a top 5 guy. Like
But let me ask this. Let me ask you this. How is it that a Braylon Edwards, with 2 or 3 of the crappiest quarterbacks in the NFL, manages to put up insane numbers, but Larry Fitzgerald, with a rookie quarterback who's, I think, probably a little bit better than a Brady Quinn or a couple of these guys, can't get it done either?
I know
Even,
exactly
and
why.
before that even happened,
Yeah, I know exactly why.
they didn't have much of an offense either.
Braylon Edwards has been on a couple of teams that, even though they were bad teams, there was somebody else on that team that had to be covered. You look at what's going on with Fitzgerald. Who's the guy on that team you got to
Can
cover?
you not-
It's Fitzgerald. That's
Well,
it.
I
You
think
shut
the
him
other
down.
thing
Hold
too
on.
here is simply the Jets are a much better team.
Yeah,
like
they're-
if your
they're better
team
around the
is
team.
better, like
Also, I
Arizona's
think
just
he's
a
referring
mess.
to the Browns of.
I'm referring to the Browns.
with
I'm
Brady-
saying-
that was the
here's
year
what
when
I'm
the
saying.
Browns-
I'm saying they were on
this-
the Browns putting up big numbers. Steve Breston is no. I mean, he's not. I'm not saying he's an all-pro.
He hasn't been playing, though.
Yeah, he's
Well,
been
all
out.
right,
That's
good
one of the
point.
And
That's a good
another
point.
point with the Braylon Edwards was when he was on the practice squad with Derek Anderson, and Derek Anderson became the starter,
Yeah.
and that was the whole connection they had, and that was his breakout
Also,
year.
let's not
They had
forget
another receiver.
that was
Good point.
they had Kellen Winslow in the year that he was really starting to come on.
He was a soldier.
Yeah, he was money that year, and that's
He
why
was okay.
you couldn't triple cover Braylon Edwards. You could double cover him,
His-
but Braylon Edwards is
his
talented enough
best
to beat a
year.
double
His
cover.
best year was when Anderson came off the bench,
Yeah.
and they had a rapport.
And you look at Detroit this year. You look at Calvin Johnson last year. There was nobody else in that team. They triple covered him every game, and he was terrible. It wasn't his fault. Look at him this year. He's doing a lot better because you can't triple cover him. They'll beat you with Javid Best. They'll beat you with
Speaking
Pettigrew.
of Calvin Johnson, do his numbers take a hit with Stafford coming back? His worst games
I
were
don't
with
think so.
Stafford.
That's a good question,
Does
but I don't
he-
think so.
I mean, I don't think so
You know
either,
what?
but it's something to consider.
He's one of
His
those
worst games
receivers
were with Stafford.
in FU mode again. I think you throw it up to Calvin Johnson, he makes those catches. He has that win where he dropped with Stafford.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gonna. You just throw it up.
I think he's going to be
Yeah,
great.
he's gonna-
And I think that their offense
Fitz, hang
overall
on
is
to
just gelling, and
Fitz.
Stafford's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
stepping
I
right into
believe-
something that is really
I believe
developed.
next year, should Stafford stay healthy, the Lions are a playoff team next year. That's the only problem they're having is he wasn't healthy. Had he stayed healthy this year, frankly, they beat the Bears in Game 1. That was another
Oh, ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Stupid call.
Bears fans,
They would
you
be near 500, maybe a little above, and in their division, the greatly preseason feared North of the NFC is not so great. Apparently, they would have been a real contender.
It is
there,
still fearful.
if you're a fan.
For
of it,
different
yes.
reasons.
Yeah. They're fearful if you're watching
Thank you for
those
getting
games.
that, Colin.
If you're
Yes.
watching a Bears game, it's fearful.
If you have to watch that as your featured game.
All right,
Let's talk some injuries, shall we?
Yeah, let's get on to injuries. We're done with the news. We're going to move into the injury report. We're going to have Ingrid come in. I want to say something. We are going to be losing Ingrid because apparently they need her more in some hospital to fix people.
What?
I can't imagine.
What?
what's more
How
important than
dare
this.
she?
I know, it's ridiculous.
Thursdays
but,
are sacred.
but she's taking a
Ingrid,
very brief
seriously.
break from
Dr. Ingrid
saving lives
Bergman.
at this moment
Peace.
to come in for the doctor is in.
Dr. Berg.
Dr.
Did I say Birdman again?
No, did you?
I did. It was a callback.
Okay.
Marty.
Dr. Ingrid Berger. So we're going to start right off. We're going to get right into this. I'm going to go into, obviously, the big injury of the week. We all know it's Tony Romo.
Tony Romo!
How long is he
cares?
going to be
Moving
out
on.
for? He's got a broken collarbone. They're saying 6 to 10 weeks. Check out that picture.
That
See,
is
Tony
awesome.
Romo has
that
other
Romo?
work. Yeah, that's Romo. Well, it's
Wait.
it's Photoshop. Don't tell him. Shh.
You're ruining the
What's
magic.
Photoshop?
Yeah,
You're ruining
yeah,
the magic.
Exactly.
That's my quarterback.
Well, it was
That's
your
my
quarterback.
quarterback.
Yeah, now he's some Podunk, Texas town
My
sheriff.
quarterback.
He's got a broken collarbone, out 6 to 10 weeks. Ingrid, how do we play this?
In bed.
So a bunch of quarterbacks were injured this week. The first one is Tony Romo, who broke his collarbone during last week's game. And the collarbone is another name for the clavicle. It's the bone right here in the body. There are two of them, one on each side. And it's the bone that hooks up to the shoulder. It's quite commonly broken when somebody is blown from the front or falls on their shoulder. And he certainly hit the ground pretty hard when he got sacked. It was in his non-throwing, non-dominant arm, so that's a good thing. But still, he's expected to be out anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, and I think that prediction is probably accurate. He doesn't require surgery for this particular fracture, and I think it should heal up, but he could be out for as long as 10 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
So, obviously, it's bad news. However, the fact that he doesn't have to have surgery is better. That means he could be back as early as 6 weeks. Doctor seems to think it's going to be more like 10. One of two things is going to happen. Either Kitna pulls off the miracle of the century and turns the team around on his own.
In which case, Kitna keeps starting.
Exactly. Or by the time he gets back, they're out of the playoffs. Why bother hurting him?
rush him back
He's done.
early?
His fantasy season's
Take
over.
the rest of the year off, rest up.
Yeah, his
You're going to have
season's
a new
over.
coach next year.
Unless
Thank God
you're
you
in a
didn't get
keeper
injured in
league.
like week 2, because then we would have felt sorry for Wade Phillips. But
Yeah,
now,
Unless you're
Yeah.
in a keeper league, I would highly recommend dropping him, because 6 weeks from now, that's the final game of the regular season. You know, I mean, unless you want to bring him back for your fantasy playoffs, but even before this injury, he's not been what we expected
I
this
got
year.
2 words for you.
What's that?
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
Just bring him back. Everything will be
I
fine.
don't think that would work.
Jimmy Johnson, just bring him back. He'll bring in his own guys.
By the way, I gotta say,
sit Jerry's ass down in that stupid big booth that
yeah,
he's got.
I gotta say, I hate Jerry Johnson. Jimmy Johnson. I can't stand him.
Oh,
When
Jimmy
he was with
Johnson?
the Dolphins, he absolutely destroyed the end of Marino's career. And when you have a guy like that, a Hall of Fame guy in his last start ever, playing in the playoffs and throwing 6 interceptions, you don't leave him out there. You don't do that to a guy like Marino. You pull him and you say, dude, it's over. Everybody understands you're at the end of your career anyway. You don't let him go out like that. And Jimmy Johnson did that. It was totally classless.
he brought me some titles. I love Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Apparently, what
How
I
about
heard-
them Cowboys?
What I heard the problem was in Miami is he went to Miami expecting to be the man like he was in Dallas. In Dallas, he was a superstar. He went to Miami and found out that there was a superstar already there in Marino, and he didn't like that, and there was some problems with that. But anyway, moving on. That's a little bit of my own beef.
I'll tell you what.
And isotoners.
Gabber and I could
They
care
decided
less.
to
Protect the hands that protect
Extends-
me. That's
exactly.
right.
You don't play
Extends-
coaches. Well, I do play a coach in Kansas City.
I don't like that. I don't like leagues that do that.
It's
so
an extra
silly.
point, just
I know,
in
it's
case
1
you have a
point or maybe
tie.
nothing.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I
get a
play
point for a
coach.
win. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Our next injury. Another big news. These, by the way, we're doing almost all quarterbacks because that's all the big injuries last week. Brett Favre, severe sprain of the left ankle. He's questionable. The big, check it out. That's right.
Favre just sent me a pic.
Who?
Whoa!
Hey, whoa.
Bum.
So, Ingrid, is he going to start this week? What do you think? What do you think he should do?
Brett Favre has some ankle injuries. An MRI showed that he has a stress fracture of his ankle. I am not exactly sure where the stress fracture is, maybe in the talus or the distal tibia. And then an avulsion fracture of his heel, or the calcaneus. And I'm assuming that's probably at the base of the heel. An avulsion fracture is basically where the tendon attaches to the bone and the ligament. It rips off a portion of that bone that it's attached to after a stress. So these aren't serious, severe injuries, but they're not going to heal on their own if he doesn't rest them. He's been walking around in a boot. He hasn't been practicing this week. He's reported to maybe attempt practice on Friday, but I doubt he'll start on Sunday. I think it's not a good idea, particularly if he's walking around in a boot. He's reported to have a large ego and a very high pain tolerance. So perhaps he'll try to start, but again, a stress fracture and an avulsion fracture aren't going to get better on their own, and they could certainly get much worse if he plays on them. So I wouldn't recommend that he start, and I'm hoping that he doesn't start.
Wow.
Dr.
Because-
Berger
wait,
with the large ego.
she
Apparently,
doesn't-
breaking news.
Oh, you missed the
hopes
week
he
she
doesn't
ripped
start.
Vic, man. It
Oh,
was
really?
beautiful.
She hopes
Yeah.
he doesn't start because of his ego?
Yeah.
Because she's upset with him?
No, he's going to start
Like,
because he
and
has
I
a
really
large.
hope I really hope he doesn't start because he's a dick.
Well,
I really think he needs.
Yeah,
I know people will be like, well, he gives him the best chance to win. I don't think
No,
he does.
not.
no,
I
this is
don't
this
think
is
he
about
gives him
his
the best
streak.
win.
Yeah,
This is
it's
about his
about
consecutive
streak.
starts.
The best chance
streak.
to
Yeah.
win is T-Jack.
Oh God, that's
Are
an
you
ugly
really
thing to
saying
have to
that?
say.
I
Lars
really am
Jackson.
saying that.
I agree with that. Right now, I agree with that.
Well, 'cause
he has
but
lost
here's-
them 3 games,
and the big
fellas.
problem is the Vikings offensive line is not doing well at protecting the quarterback this year. And you've got to have some mobility because there are defenders getting through that line, especially the right side of the line, which is a little better with Sullivan returning last week. But there's still, the rush is really getting through, and if you can't move at all,
Yeah.
it hurts your team.
I think he's going to start this week because, as the doctor said, he does have that ego, and he really does want to keep that streak alive. I think his whole goal right now is to get to 300 consecutive starts, and he's 9 away. So I think he's going to try and finish out the season. I don't think he should start either, but he's going to.
I mean, I think the
believe.
best thing for him and for the Vikings is to sit down
Yeah.
for 4 weeks, let that heal up, let that rest
Yeah.
up. If they can go 2-2, they're still in the NFC playoff hunt.
Yeah, and-
Come back, be healthy, kick
Yeah.
ass through the playoffs.
And please stop doing press conferences. Brett, you look like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Or if you don't look like a deer in headlights, you look like an idiot. And if you don't look like an idiot, you look like you're about to cry. So go be confused and cry somewhere else. Let the football players play because you're done right now.
Or pull a
and you're
Ricky Williams and keep
ruining
the
your
helmet on.
team.
wow.
And it's your team. I'm sorry, but he's
Jabber,
lost
not
you a few
happy with
games.
you, Brett Favre.
Not
You hear
happy
that,
with
Favre?
Brett Favre.
Jabber's not happy with you.
Not
All right, we're going to
happy
move
at
on to
all.
our third.
That's some anger right there. That's
Our
some
third
fire.
quarterback this
Shoulders
week,
killing me
I
from that.
actually think this is the best news ever for any San Francisco fan. Alex Smith
I
has
need good
sprained his
news.
right shoulder and he's
Really?
out 2 to 4 weeks. So that team's going to be better for at least 2 to 4 weeks because Alex Smith is the league's biggest
Troy
pile
Smith,
of trash.
what's he from Ohio State?
What do you got to say about Alex Smith?
Oh, you go Volt.
Alex Smith has a shoulder sprain this week, and I couldn't find details as to the specific type of sprain that it was. But just by guessing, I would assume it's the AC joint, which is a common shoulder sprain to have for these athletes. And the AC joint again is just the joint that hooks up the clavicle to the acromion. So it's the acromioclavicular joint, which hooks up the shoulder to the clavicle. And a severe type of an AC injury is an actual AC separation or a separated shoulder. It doesn't sound that's what he has. He has something more minor. He probably tore just a few of the ligaments or maybe even just sprained them or bruised them a little bit. So he's expected to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. It's in his non-dominant shoulder, and I think that's probably an accurate prediction. I would say 2 to 3 weeks probably.
All right, so that's a month-long reprieve for your boys.
Sure. Let me explain something here. Okay. No matter what you hear, okay, no matter what you've been told, the reports about Alex Smith being injured are not true. Okay, it's just not true. He is not hurt. They threw him in the back of a van. Okay, they drove him to some dumpy suburb on the
DeBartolo
southeast
came
side of
back and is
London.
burying him
like
in the desert.
Staines, yeah. Eddie D and Carmen Policy came back. They drove the van. They went out. They whipped him a few times.
They picked up a baseball bat and Joe Pesci. They got some stuff done.
Yeah, they really. His nose is all messed up now. He's like, you know.
I don't know if anyone was starting Alex Smith. Let's be honest.
No,
Is
nobody
this
was
really
starting.
hurt
If you
your
were
fantasy
starting-
team?
no.
If you were starting Alex Smith, I don't even know why we
just-
put that in.
But you
I
just
mean,
piss
honestly,
me
we
off.
put that in for you.
I'll tell you
honestly,
why.
who had Alex Smith on their team?
I'll tell you exactly
If there's
what
one
I'm doing.
viewer out there with Alex Smith, tell me.
This makes San Francisco a better team immediately. I am not kidding.
And
Alex
jumping
Smith has been
over,
a cancer on
jumping
that
over
team.
David Carr, who is still in shell shock from Houston.
But
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's not a good move because I think that they are going to have. I think it just it's too telling that this is a mess of an organization when they don't even allow the second string guy to play an entire game.
Yeah.
He barely played a half of football. And now Singletary is passing him over. And what does he say in this article? I talked to David Carr, and he understands.
However, you know what that means? The new Mike Tice. I am proven more and more right every week. That Mike Singletary is the new Mike Tice. Next week he's gonna watch it. If he's still the head coach, he's gonna miss a draft pick coming up. He's going to be so busy, he's going to forget to draft a guy in this year's draft.
I wouldn't doubt it at this point in the season. One last guy we're going to cover without the doctor, D'Angelo Williams. You guys know anything more about this? I've heard he's got an injured foot.
He's a pretty good ball player.
I've heard he's a pretty good ball player. But the injured foot, that's all I can find out. But he might miss this week, which would open it up for Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything really like a definitive report. But I do keep hearing that the Jonathan Stewart is going to be the guy this week. That Williams may dress but not play. It's very just sketchy kind of news. I mean, there's nothing. He's on the injury report, but it's just kind of. I don't know. But I think Jonathan Stewart becomes the play that you want to go with especially because I think if you own one, you may own both.
You may have
handcuffs.
Yeah. Well, you should.
They haven't done anything this year, but D'Angelo missed practice, I guess, yesterday. So
yeah, he might not start. We'll keep you updated on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the one to watch.
That's
watch the Twitter Sunday morning.
That one's to watch. We'll keep you updated on Brett Favre. That's it for injuries. Doctor, thank you very much. We've loved having you on the show. We're sorry we're losing you. We understand. Saving lives.
I lose Romo and
almost
the
as
doctor
important
in the
as
same
fantasy
week.
football. Almost. We're going to move on to our next segment. We've covered the news. We've told you what's going on in the league. We've told you who's out. Now we move on to face all these people with. It's time for On the Wire. Now, there you go.
Yeah, that's the first time I'm seeing this live.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
You can feel the buzz.
I did.
Yes.
Oh, wired.
I'm going to kick it off with a guy that people are not talking about at all. He's available in 99.6% of leagues. Like, literally, 2 people have this guy on his team. Riley Cooper, wide receiver out of Philadelphia. He had 5 catches. It looks like he might be the young guy who steps in to fill Deshaun Jackson's role, not Jason Avant. He's got the kind of speed, and he's the kind of player that I think Vic will really like when he comes back. Great guy to pick up right now if you're hurting at wide receiver. Worth a bench stash for a while. Obviously, they're on bye this week. You can wait a little bit, but you heard about him here first. I think he's going to be real good. Who wants to move on?
He's a big target, too.
Yeah,
6'3", 220. He's not. He's almost like.
And he's fast.
Yeah,
he's fast
he feels
for a
like
6'3"
almost
guy.
like that. Like, you know, the movable tight end who plays wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, he's got that feel to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came back for a short pass that Cobb had. It was short. He made a spectacular catch. Deshaun is scheduled to come back for that Colts game, so I would watch because if he comes back, it's the Deshaun.
Yeah. Basically, obviously, if you got Deshaun Jackson, pick this guy up because he's covering your base. And if you're thin at wide receiver, he's a guy. You know, we talk about guys like we were talking about Chris Ivory a while before he went off. Although now it's looking like he might have been a one-hit wonder.
Thanks.
We're talking about LeGarrette Blount this week. Has not put up a great fantasy game, but his average yards per carry is crushing the other guys in his team. This is another guy like that. He's a future. This guy definitely has one coming. We'll see how he fits in Philly. Next guy we're going to talk about, and I'm sure everybody knows his name after this week, David Geddes, wide receiver, Carolina. Marty, what do you think about this guy? Is this a
I
one-hit?
told you about this last week. Well, I wasn't here.
Ah.
I like Geddes. Well, we got Steve Smith back. We got Matt Moore back. They got their first win, so he looks like the number 2 guy there.
And another young wide receiver on a terrible team. So
Yes.
another young guy with a lot of talent, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities because they're going to be thrown from behind a lot. This is a guy that nobody's talking about. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Roscoe Parrish, wide receiver in Buffalo, available in 97% of leagues. He was the most targeted guy by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
13 targets last week.
Incredible
Threw
amount of
it all the
targets.
time.
He's kind of filling that Wes Welker type role. He's doing the short passes in the middle because he had like 8 catches but for 53 yards. So they were all like short little passes. But Fitzpatrick likes him. He's targeting him. I think Roscoe Parrish will be good going forward, especially in return leagues because he's also a very talented return guy. Speaking of Fitzpatrick, Jabber, tell us about the man.
Who?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, God, the guy, he's right now, not many people own Ryan Fitzpatrick. I understand your concern. However, the guy is simply putting up great numbers. He's obviously locked into not just one receiver, but really 2 or 3. I mean, I don't know the numbers on Lee Evans, but I noticed that he had a bunch of touches as well. So right now, Parrish, Evans, Johnson, obviously. Look, you could do worse than to have Ryan Fitzpatrick as your backup. And if you really have a lot of confidence, trade your number 1 guy and fill in your other positions and make him your starter. If you're 1-5 or 1-6 and you really need to make
Why are
make
you
a
talking
strong
directly
move.
to me like that?
Hey, dude, you know. Oh, so it's not just the Vikings. JJ's entire life right now has a 1-5 record. So basically, Fitzpatrick is a good choice. So pick him up. I mean,
2 straight weeks. of
2
high
straight
numbers.
weeks.
And, you know, the other
I
thing
picked
that's-
up Stafford, and I kind of would rather have Fitzpatrick.
And he's
the other thing
available
too that
in-
he's
go ahead.
they seem to have like taken the with Trent Edwards. They just weren't. It didn't seem like they were calling big plays. For whatever reason, Fitzpatrick's got in there, and they've just opened up their playbook and been like, man,
Lee
chuck it.
Evans against Baltimore, he had 6 catches, 105 yards, 3 touchdowns.
So he had a decent day.
Oh, that was last
Seems
week.
okay.
Right, I knew he had 2
That guy.
touchdowns. I didn't know he had.
Lee Evans is
I
one of
guess
those guys, as JJ and I talk often. You have him on your team, you have him off your team. You have him on your team, you have cups
Sure.
of coffee with him during
Yeah.
the year,
He's
but you
a-
never hold on to him.
As far as I can throw him. He's
Yes.
as far as I
One
can throw
night
him
stand,
category.
it's not dating.
Yes.
Yeah, you take him
Right.
home from the club on Saturday night, but you don't
Like
call him during the
Blunt,
week.
we're on our 3rd date this week.
Yes.
We're going out for a 3rd time this year, and
You and
you know,
LeGarrette?
maybe this time, maybe LeGarrette and I will really,
Maybe he's the one, JJ.
maybe he is.
He
I've
could
tried
be the one.
2 dates
Yeah.
that didn't go well this season.
Maybe he'll really punch up your
He's
life.
looking good this
Oh.
week.
You know what, though?
Oh, you didn't go there.
I hear
no.
LeGarrette doesn't date bad fantasy players.
Oh wow, man! And
So we're
and they've
both
been
out. We're
friends
both
for
out.
a
Oh,
long
he's definitely
time.
We're both out.
He's definitely not going to date.
No, neither of us.
Yeah.
But a lot
Maybe
of you
Marty.
guys are probably looking for quarterbacks
Yeah.
this week, and we have a bunch of options. Some guys you may not think of right away. I like Kitna, of course, and they're playing the Jaguars. If we're gonna have one good
This week,
for
he's
Kitna,
a good
pick
good
him
option.
up. I'm sure
Yeah.
no one's rushing out for John Kitna.
Yeah, and another
But
guy we've
feel
mentioned
free.
before is Josh Freeman, but I'm bringing him up again because he's still available in a lot of leagues.
He's a winner. He comes down the last 2 minutes. Somehow Freeman gets a touchdown
And he's
for you.
been good for about 19 points a week. That's not Peyton Manning numbers, but that's very good for a guy who you're picking up when you lost your
Yeah.
starter. You know?
For your
Also in
bye
this
week guy.
Also in this area, I like Chad Henne. 2 cornerbacks are injured on Cincinnati. I don't know how well they're going to do, but you saw how Cincinnati was torched last week. I like Henne. And Castle has erupted the last couple of weeks. I like Matt Castle and Dwayne Bowe. Thank you for coming alive, Dwayne Bowe. We appreciate it.
I didn't
So-
think that would happen.
No one did.
I didn't.
Yeah.
No one did. Sanchez returns this week. Always a nice flyer. He's probably sitting there. He had a bye, so he may be sitting out there if you need a quarterback. He's got San Antonio, and he's got Braylon. And he's got Dustin Keller, who's definitely a top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
Plenty of weapons. And
Yeah.
San Antonio.
I like Santonio Holmes too. It's San Antonio's
San
younger
Antonio.
brother.
San Antonio. I had my first one. I
There you
knew
go.
it
It's his
too.
first one. So,
Yes.
by the way, Ryan
Antonio.
Ryan
He
Fitzpatrick
has a
soon to
good
be
game.
seen on the All Mick team because he's got to make a name, right?
Right, he's on
Yeah.
the Ole Miss team.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And so interesting that your Mick team's starting to come together. McFadden,
Sure.
Fitzpatrick.
McFadden,
These guys are all
Fitzpatrick.
doing well. McNabb's not
Absolutely.
doing bad. You know.
And look at my Joneses. Look
Yeah.
at Thomas
And
Jones.
Jeremy Macklin's
Still
doing huge.
doing it.
Yeah.
Macklin.
Yeah.
I love Thomas Jones.
Thomas Jones has been great.
Yes, you talked about the
great.
KC running game last week. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
absolutely.
Good advice you gave the audience out
Yeah.
there.
Couple of last free agent pickups, if they're available. I always like good defenses or even medium defenses against horrible teams. St. Louis gets gets Carolina. That's going to be. I think they're going to have a good day. Washington might not be available, but if they are, they're playing Detroit. So
No one's running after my Cowboys defense, but they're playing Jacksonville. It's the Super Bowl. Take them against Jacksonville. I think they'll have a great game.
Miami,
Witten looms
if Miami's
large
sitting out there
behind
on
him,
your free
folks.
agent wire. Miami's another one.
And like Marty said, Cincinnati missing 2 of its quarterbacks, so Miami's offense is good this week too. I mean, Devon Best had a great game. He's going to have another good one.
And I like Chad Henne.
Chad Henning, yeah,
I never thought
he's
I'd say
getting
that.
there. He's getting there. He's
But
got
I
that
do.
slow development, but he's getting to a point where
Those
this
are the
guy
best
is
kinds,
yeah.
man.
And he's got
Yeah, gonna be
Brandon
really good.
Marshall.
Yeah, he's got a
I mean,
great.
come on.
He's got Brandon
You
Marshall.
know who?
He's got Best.
One guy we forgot to mention, seeing the situation with Cincinnati's backfield. Fasano, Anthony Fasano. He's a real boomer bust kind of tight end. He might be a good pickup this week. because with that backfield hurting, they're going to have to, they're going to have a lot of trouble covering the wide receivers. It's going to open it up even more for Fasano. Henny's been good getting him the ball. So threw like a 25-yard touchdown pass to him a couple weeks ago.
One more
So-
tight end. He may be out there. He was out there last week for me. Houston had a bye. Owen Daniels, he's healthy now. He may be lingering. He's going to be great the rest of the season.
And I still really like Tony Moyaki. I know he had a couple of down weeks, but he's a guy who's getting targets. Really, you got Dwayne Bowe and then really nothing else behind him. So Moyaki essentially is a second pass-catching target on that team.
Yeah, I'd like to throw in one more name because I feel like now people are, there's a lot of injuries. People are kind of desperate, especially people like JJ. And I feel, I know he's a number 3, but there's always a rare number 3 that is worth picking up. I think in this case, Mario Manningham is a guy who has been catching a lot of balls, and you just never know. When one of these guys goes down, something happens to Steve Smith or Hakeem Nicks, or on the rare Sunday that Hakeem Nicks gets smothered, like he did 2 weeks ago, I believe. Mario Manningham's a great option. If you want to get a nice 10 or 12 point guy, he's going to get some catches, maybe get in the end zone once.
Not only that, but it was nice to see Eli look like his older brother. I mean, he spread that ball beautifully. He was just the open guy, got the ball every time. I mean, after the first quarter. First quarter was horrific.
First quarter was
And then the last 3 quarters, he was
I love
amazing.
that first quarter.
Being generous, they spotted the Cowboys 20 points.
Yeah, they're just trying to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Manningham is on a bye. He's probably going to be. This is always where you want to check your waivers for some names that might be out there. Manningham might fall. Johnny Knox, I know he's on a bye. He's the only good player on Chicago.
He is
Someone
right
may
now.
have to drop him to help with injuries. Check your wires, especially Sunday. Someone may do something sneaky. Check it. I can see Johnny Knox popping up there, people not having room for him.
Yeah.
But he's the only player who's putting up points for Chicago.
All right, well, that covers it for On the Wire. So we've told you who to pick up. Now it's time where you guys get to call in and ask us questions. Chat in on the chat board at Ustream, or you can tweet us. I can't stand that I have to tweet, but
Is
It's a
El
new
Sandwich
world.
out there?
I was in the car just
Is
No.
my man
No.
El Sandwich still there?
Hasn't been out here.
What about Hoop? My buddy writes in, and
Who's your buddy?
He's, I'm forgetting. He's gonna kill me now. Josh.
Anyways, what do we
let's get
have?
it. Let's
What
get
do
in
we
there.
have?
Who's on? Caller, do we have a
We'd like some
caller?
of his questions answered.
Poughkeepsie, New
Smash,
York.
Dash, or Trash.
We
about
got Mares 54321, who has a couple of questions actually as to who they should start.
You should go with this or you should go with that. Right?
Yeah, we got.
Because you
a
should
little
go
bit
with
of
this, because this is where it's at.
Yes.
thought it
Well,
was
they
'cause it's
have
kinda fat.
one running back slot, and they're picking between Thomas Jones, who's going up against Buffalo, Steve Jackson going up against Carolina, Javad Best, Washington, or LT against Green Bay.
Oof.
Okay, so
Okay, hold on.
real quick, let me intro the segment for just a second because
How is that possible?
Yeah, it's like I'm
if
trying
it's
to
a
figure
smash,
this
for those of you who are new, if we call it a smash, that means they're a smash hit. If it's a stash, it means keep them on your bench, somebody with potential, but maybe not start them. And if they're trash, they're probably on the 49ers. Okay.
Damn.
So it used to be Buffalo, but I
Wow.
just
Wait
got
till
Yeah,
to-
we
Oregon-
just
wait till Oregon
switched.
spanks
Give me
SC
those
this
four
weekend.
names again, Colin. I'm gonna run them down.
It's an embarrassment
LT
of riches.
Steven Jackson.
Let Colin do his job.
Oh, Colin.
Thank you. Thomas Jones, Steve Jackson, Javad Best, or LaDainian Tomlinson.
Can I start?
Go for it.
I'll just say my concerns. My concerns are that Javad Best is coming back from injury. Stafford's on his way back. I'm just not
And
that.
Washington's a good D.
Yeah, and I'm not
They
really
give up
that.
a lot of yards, though.
It's true, but
They
not
do give up a lot of
touchdowns.
yards. Yeah, Colin, they
But
do.
not
in the red
touchdowns
zone.
as much.
But not touchdowns. And I feel like I'm not altogether comfortable this week trusting either a Stafford or a Best. But let's leave it on the running backs, Javad Best. My other concern would be Thomas Jones a little bit, because if you're forced to start Thomas Jones, then it's like, great, if the decision's made for you. But I would hate to be that guy that starts Thomas Jones instead of one of these other guys, and suddenly he's, balancing out his yardage with, he's not getting 100 yards, he's getting 50 yards, and Charles is getting 50
Yeah,
yards.
sometimes
and-
Kansas City, it'll be
I don't
Charles
know.
Day, then it'll be Jones Day. Sometimes they both go off.
And he's
but
good, and
it's-
I love him,
yeah.
but-
Is it just one running back they're looking for?
One
Just
running
one,
back.
right?
All
out
right,
of
let's
the
give
four.
an answer. Let's go.
Well,
Yeah.
let's do it
So
this
then
way.
there's
No,
LT.
let's do it this way. We're going to take each one of these players for this week. We're going to smash, dash, or trash them, and then at the end we'll decide who to replace. So let's start with Javad Best. What do you do with Javad Best?
I'm gonna go with a stash. I have the same concerns as Mark.
I'll stash.
Stash, he's 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I
He's a
put him in the
stash.
last
All right, so LaDainian Tomlinson.
Against Green Bay.
I'm gonna say smash. I think he's
Smash.
gonna have a really good game.
Okay,
I'll smash him.
smash.
Smash. He's my number one out of those four.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
LT.
I'm going
I
to
like
say
LT
smash on
against
that
Green
too.
Bay.
All right, so
Just slightly
Jackson.
ahead of Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson.
Who's Steven
like-
Jackson against again?
Carolina.
Smash.
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 Smash. And what was the fourth option?
Thomas Jones.
Thomas Jones. So
Buffalo.
Thomas Jones. What are we doing with Thomas Jones?
Against Buffalo, smash.
Yeah, if he's sure, I'll smash him.
I'll
Okay,
smash
I'm
too.
gonna,
I would
I'm gonna
start him
say,
too.
I'm gonna say smash, but I think we're gonna be in almost agreement here. I like out of those four. Personally, I'd take Steven Jackson, but like Marty said, literally just ahead of LaDainian Tomlinson. It's not a huge gap. So either one of those guys, I'd go Steven Jackson because there's nobody else there.
Me
you know,
too.
Sean Green can take a couple goal line carries.
Sure, I
it
agree.
happens.
I hope he takes a lot.
I go
for my
slightly
bet.
to LT because Steven Jackson just had some work on a finger, so I kind of like LT, just slightly better.
Yeah.
I have Jackson on my team. He'll get you about 10 to 15 points each week. He's solid.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
consistent.
He's solid. So you can't go
consistent.
wrong with LT or Steven Jackson.
And Thomas, and I think like those three, and Thomas Jones, I think he's gonna. You know, they do split it up, so it's more risky.
Yeah.
But I also think that out of all of them, he may have the potential for the biggest game.
Yeah.
But then if it starts going Charles's way, he's the biggest
It depends on
boomer
the game
bust
plan.
guy out of
It's
them.
totally depends on the game.
One running back, who you taking?
One running back, who am I taking? I think I'm taking Steven Jackson.
Same here.
So Steven Jackson, LT is a close second. So
Okay,
we'll go with
that only
Steven
took
Jackson.
10 minutes.
Yeah, so let's go.
All right.
Hey, we have
Let's
a-
hurry the next one's up.
We're gonna do a
We need to help the viewers.
Let's do that special thing that we're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
We have a Twitter follower. We mentioned him a couple weeks ago. He is serving our country in Japan, and he's very active with us on Twitter. We appreciate it. Metal Militia 928 has sent us his team.
Metal Militia.
So we are going to analyze his team for him. Do we have a card on that? I believe we do.
Yes, we do. This is going to be the starting lineup right here.
For Fear the Sasquatch is the name of the team. Obviously, Peyton Manning, best quarterback in football, brilliant.
Right. On a night game, Monday night.
Yeah,
Peyton
against
shines.
Houston, who
Oh,
I can
Houston
put up
has
4
the
TDs on.
worst.
Yeah, he's going to be great. The running back
He's gonna be playing angry
situation.
on that game too.
The running back situation on his team looks bad. There's a reason for that. He's got Hillis and he's got Turner on a bye, so he's having some bye week issues
Both
at running
guys on a
back.
bye. Okay.
How do we feel about those two running backs to fill in?
I would check your wire for someone to replace Ernest Graham.
I agree.
need to get
Yeah.
Ernest Graham. I like Blunt there, but there's
Yeah.
got to be a better choice than Ernest Graham.
Yeah, look around for. I mean, I would even take Chris Ivory over Ernest Graham because he's going to get more opportunity. His wide receivers are brilliant. He has Miles Austin might be a problem, but he's got Devon Best, and who's his third wide receiver? Brandon Lloyd.
Brandon
right?
Lloyd.
Aaron Lloyd. And
That's
I
great.
like Mike Williams there on his bench. I would give him
Yeah.
a starting job.
I would
Yeah.
almost go
Me
with
too.
Mike Williams over Miles Austin. 'Cause
Mike
I just don't know what to
Williams is-
expect from that Cowboy
I would
team.
go. I'd go Mike Williams over Brandon Lloyd.
And he's been
Wow.
drinking your Kool-Aid since Aaron Hernandez is his tight end.
Yes.
And my Kool-Aid
Well
because
done,
of Mike
my
Williams,
friend.
Tampa.
Yeah.
So
And he has my problems because he has Lloyd and Austin.
the real problem needs to fix. Dump Ernest Graham. See who's on your waiver wire. There's gotta be someone
Yeah.
better
Do
than
you
Ernest
do you have
Graham.
his league up? Do you have the free agents on his
Let's
league?
help.
for
Let's
his
help
quarter-
him. Help
All right.
me help
In
you.
the meantime,
help me help you.
So great. Thanks for sending in your team. I really appreciate that. It's a lot of fun to look over your team, give you some advice. Do we have any other smash, dash, or trash we can do while you're looking that up?
We got another list of
Okay.
either or players, and it's another laundry list one.
Bring it.
Bring it.
We got, and I'm going to abbreviate the names since I feel very, comfortable around all these guys. Pat Creighton, Rob
Right.
Meacham, Don Driver, and Stevie Johnson.
Ah.
All right, let's go one by one. Donald Driver, smash, dash, or trash?
Trash still seems hurt. Not trash, sorry, stash. Still seems hurt.
Eh,
Stash.
stash. I agree. Who else?
We got
Steven Johnson. We like him.
Smash.
Smash. He's my number one in this group.
Yeah, number one clear.
I like him and Creighton.
Yeah. So,
They're,
so
they're
we're
equal
we
for
didn't- we
me.
didn't jump ahead.
We're
Yeah,
gonna smash that.
Smash it.
Okay. And what about for give me
Creighton.
Creighton. Oh, he's
tough.
He's tough. I'm gonna put him on the stash.
Stash.
I'm gonna say play him. Who else they have?
Yeah.
Who else do they have?
Malcolm
Only
Floyd.
because of-
Floyd's still injured. He's out to week
he's out to
11.
week-
But
oh,
Floyd
boy.
is out to week 11.
Wow.
Antonio Gates is hurting. I
Yeah.
think it's the Creighton show, and you got Ryan Matthews not doing anything.
Yeah, I'd
You
say
know.
Creighton because of the situation's a smash, but I agree that Steven Johnson's the better pick there. So we're gonna smash.
Yeah, I would go
Steven
Steven Johnson.
Steven
Smash.
Johnson.
we got who's available in the
Who's available in his league?
Top running backs, Ricky Williams.
I like Ricky
Anything
Williams
else?
more than I like.
Is there
Ernest
more
Graham.
players
Is there anyone
available, or
else?
is
Liddell
only-
Betts. I mean, it's slim pickings
Is it
here.
slim?
Yeah.
What else does he have?
It's a competitive league. I was looking at it.
I'm trying to see if there's actually anyone.
You know, I'd say right now, I'd take Ricky Williams over
I'd take
Ernest
Ricky
Graham.
Williams.
Yeah.
I'd
Is there
pick
a
him up.
Donald Brown or Mike Hart available?
Donald Brown is possibly injured. We
Donald
don't
Brown,
know.
I
Being
know.
weird.
I have him still sitting on my bench. I'm waiting for the
I
day.
think
Donald
Mike Hart might
Brown.
be able to
Save
play.
my season.
If Mike Hart's available, I'd say Mike Hart.
Yeah, but I think Ricky Williams over Ernest Graham. I think
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
take
Ricky
that too.
So,
Williams.
Metal Militia, pick up Ricky Williams, drop Ernest Graham. Other than that, we really like your team.
Yeah.
Is
well
Tolbert
done.
there? Derek Ward?
No, all those guys. It's
Yeah, it's thin.
It's thin.
this is a
thin.
thinned out.
Hightower even.
Yeah, that league is very
Go
competitive.
Ricky
I
Williams.
will say that. You guys have a competitive league. I like to see that. I
Yeah.
like
The
to see
Fire,
leagues where it's
yes.
hard to pick up
United
guys because
Clare league.
Definitely.
everybody's watching us and listening, apparently.
Declared.
All right, so
Let's get
There's-
some more. Any more?
do we have any
out
more?
there?
We can do
Just
one
ripped
more.
on Claire, and she's not even
Okay,
here.
actually,
girl.
I got one. This is more just out of curiosity. In the London Bowl, which defense are you going to take? Denver or San Francisco? You got two fairly crappy teams going up against each other.
I'm
One
gonna
of them might
take.
have a good
I'm
game.
gonna take Denver. I'm
taking-
sorry, San Francisco is just no.
Oh,
No.
Mark, do you go as the good fantasy
Don't
football
touch me.
analyst,
Don't touch me.
or do you spread the love for your team?
Look, Denver gave up Denver's giving up a lot more points.
It's true.
Okay, than the Niners are right now. All right, they gave up a
Violently says
ton of
that.
points to the Raiders,
So who you
and the
picking?
Niners did not. I'm taking the Niners defense in London.
Marty?
They're great there.
Niners or Broncos?
You're going with Denver, and here's why. AFC has been dominating the NFC all year. We know the powers in the AFC. Even a crappy AFC team is going to dominate. Gonna dominate.
I'll take the defense.
Also,
I'll take
Denver's
They
AFC
played
anytime.
the
Hold on just
Raiders
a
the
second.
last 2 weeks.
I'm going to go ahead and throw a little curveball here.
Dawkins is coming back this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to start Manchester United. All right, so
Oh!
I'm not going to start either one of those teams.
They're not starting. There's so
yeah.
many better
Wow.
options.
Yeah, let's close it up with Smash Dash or Trash because I believe we're going to do a quick little segment here. Marty hasn't been here for a while, and there were some bets, and those bets have to be paid for. So
We don't
why
have a
don't we
graphic,
pick-
but I think this segment
No.
is called "Time to Pay Up."
Yeah, and seriously, PBR, this one's free. Next time you're sponsoring our show.
This is.
Case of PBR.
All right, let me explain. Let me talk it out first.
All right, well,
This
what
is-
was this bet? This bet was
This bet was, unfortunately, it was just a 1 week bet. Austin Collie versus Pierre Garçon. And I lost. But, ladies and gentlemen, I see the future because Pierre Garçon
He's coming on.
is going to go gangbusters
Yeah,
this
he's gonna be
Monday night.
great this
I
week.
think he's,
Yeah.
and he is their number 2. And Wayne might have some tough coverage. So I love my Pierre Garçon pick earlier in the year. Austin Collie was on fire. Congratulations.
and
You
Austin
beat me
Collie
on
got
that
hurt.
bet. You beat me on that bet.
Thank you.
got-
Austin Collie got hurt. Now, there's a reason why I did not go out and buy my own 12-pack of PBR because I knew that I'd have this one to give to JJ for a bet. I don't even remember what the bet was. I had to text him the other day and ask him what the bet was for because
And
I forgot.
I will remind you that
So can you remind me what we bet on?
we've been on. I called when you were touting how your San Francisco 49ers defense was a good defense to pick up because they were playing the lowly Carolina Panthers.
Actually, Adam told me to do that.
And,
It was Adam's fault.
Yeah,
so Adam,
right.
can you give me a
and
six-pack?
I declared that I believe the Carolina Panthers would get their first win against the Niners.
Yes, you did. And for that, apparently, I have lost this 12-pack of PBR. So
it
it was.
goes
Hold
down
on
the
one
tip.
second.
Savor it for a moment.
Okay.
All right.
All right, and then
I owe Marty a bag of chips.
a bag of chips. And I've been watching the show, and we remember week 1, Steven Jackson versus Sean Green.
Yes.
And apparently you don't even have Sean Green on your team anymore, do you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Apparently you
I
dropped
traded
him.
Sean Green
You
for Chris
can't even
Ivory
support
because
your
I had
player.
to win.
Someone who's going to beat Steven Jackson all
Hey.
year, you don't even have him on your
If you
team
love
anymore.
somebody, set them free.
All right, I'm available right now. I would love to get a bet in before I leave. Do we have any challenges? Anyone? Wanna throw
I don't
something out
know.
there in the air?
I will say.
I don't have anything to bet right
Anything you guys fired up? Anyone on your team you're fired up about? I like to
Darren McFadden. I love Darren McFadden. You want to bet against him?
Darren McFadden.
I'll take McFadden. You take Foster.
I'll take Arian Foster.
You got it? All right,
Yes.
good. For-
Arian Foster, Monday
Wait,
night.
for yardage, fantasy points?
Fantasy points.
Fantasy points, and we'll do like standard.
Arian
scoring.
Foster will beat Darren McFadden.
No, I won't.
Yes, he will.
McFadden,
By the way,
McFadden is
this is
gonna
the
crush.
best
Monday
thing that's
night
happened
against
to me
that
this
Colts
season.
D.
See, the season's not a total loss for
See,
JJ.
my team's losing, my fantasy team's losing, but I can win. I
It's
can,
called pack
follow
of
us.
warm beer.
I can
Follow us on Twitter at Stupid4, the number 4, Stupid4 Football. And check us out on Blip, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, you name it. Obviously, if you're watching now, you know we're on Ustream Live, Thursdays at 2 p.m. Good luck out there, guys. We'll tweet the deets about what's going on this weekend with Favre and those other guys. All
Have a
right?
great weekend.
Did
Enjoy.
I seriously just said tweet the deets, didn't I?
You did.
You did. Totes my goats right here.